Hey everyone, welcome to Road to the International 3. Today we'll be focusing on the East qualifier, and we have a special guest, one of the awesomest, not like that's the awesomest casters around. GoDz. Hey, sup?
Not much, not much. I feel like that introduction didn't do me justice. I mean, I'm actually a lot more awesome than you just said.
Okay, sorry. The hunkiest and the most dreamy caster around.
Keep going, keep going.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, were you going for one of those like Japanese TV shows where like you have like all these funny things going on? With it? 'Cause- anyway, yeah. So how are you doing? It looks like you just took a shower.
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being interviewed by DPM. I haven't showered. I woke up not long ago, even though it's past midnight here, and yeah, I had to look pretty on camera since it's the only thing I'm good for in the Dota community.
Clearly, I foresee you having a booth dude job career in the future if this
At
doesn't
least
go
it's a
well.
backup plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
backup plan, or you can do it like on the side.
Yep.
um, yeah. So is this the first time we've actually seen your room over there?
I think my first time, I've done one or two other small interviews.
Oh,
One of them
okay.
actually, just a couple days ago, I did something with a video, but I don't think it's been released. So this could be one of the first
Ah,
times my
ooh.
bedroom has seen some camera time.
Compared to last year, like what were you doing then? Like when TI1 was going on and TI2?
TI1, I
Yeah.
was a dedicated, faithful spectator of the game. I loved Dota back then. I'd actually started commentating about 4 or 5 months before the first international. I had my Dota 2 beta key and everything, so I was getting to play a bit of Dota 2. But I was just watching. I actually quit my full time job about 2 or 3 days before TI1. Looking back, the two may have been somewhat related, but who knows?
Cool.
Either way, I ended up getting to watch almost every game from TI1. Well, not every game because there was some lag and stream issues, which was unfortunate. TI2, Beyond the Summit, or I
Yeah.
guess I should say myself and TUSKY3 actually organized the East qualifier back then as well, although it came under the GoDz Gamers name. It was actually myself and Tusky who did all the team organizing, scheduling. We did the Beyond the Summit stream with myself and LD. It was just held on the GoDz Gamers website. So this is, I guess, nothing new for us organizing it this year around, but this year around it's going to be about 10 times better.
How does it feel, knowing that compared to last year, this year it's going to be 10, maybe 100 times better? Last year you were in Australia, were you? Back then? Yeah.
Um,
Were you
I
in
was in
Australia?
Thailand
Oh,
actually.
okay, you were in Thailand, yeah. So how does it feel, just knowing, wow, it's just going to be amazing?
I am really excited. I remember last year I was commentating like multiple different tournaments, and I would literally sleep in my office there. I had a little office which I shared with TTE Sports, and they had a little couch in the corner, and I would stay up casting and then just sleep there during the day because I was just too tired to go home and maybe the next game to cast for 5 hours from now. But this year everything's going to be a lot more organized, structured. The production's going to be awesome. I think the big step up from last year is, I mean, the main event with last year was awesome. It's going to be awesome again this year, maybe even better. But the qualifiers are actually going to have a proper show, a proper production. You've got GD Studio, who's going to do an amazing job with the West one, and then we're going to be hosting the East qualifier, which will be our first production in our actual studio. We're working hard. We pretty much finished building it right now. The big thing that's going to be take another week or two is going to be getting all the production up to scratch, getting all the video animations, the graphics, all the programming for our actual software, which we're going to use for our production. So it should all come together on time, and we're really excited for that.
Are there any new features we should be expecting in your already awesome stream, considering you have the studio?
I think there's like a billion and one different new features. I mean,
Whoa.
everything we've been doing the past couple months, I would describe it as just average, even mediocre. I feel like it's enough to sort of keep the Dota community happy, but it's not what we want to do. It's really kind of annoyed me that all we can really have is, I guess, basic overlays. In between games, we just chuck up a waiting screen. We don't have any proper production quality. We don't have any proper camera shots of the casters. We don't have anything to introduce the teams, the players. Like, we want to have a database with information with like a picture, a name, date of birth, all this stuff for every player. So when a team gets introduced to a match, even if it's whether it's the TI3 qualifiers or whether it's some random Asian tournament we're casting, we want to have like a proper introduction for them so that the players can get some FaceTime, viewers get to know them. We're going to be introducing all that kind of stuff into our broadcasts.
That would be amazing. It would be awesome and really funny to see the players doing those like those motions like just before the game, like gonna kill you type of motion, like.
Yeah, yeah. The cheesy G League actions, the pie
Yeah,
cat, like
yeah. Those are really funny.
yeah.
Yeah. Will you have any special guests visiting or being featured on your stream for the qualifier? Is that a
That's the plan.
secret?
I we're
Toot
actually
toot.
the list is not 100% confirmed, but we will be having at, at least two guests flying in from around the country.
Ooh, I wasn't invited. What? No, I'm just kidding.
You're out of country.
Oh, okay.
That's not in the budget DPM.
Man, you guys just should have set up
Uh,
over here. Yeah.
yeah, we'll be announcing all of those details hopefully as soon as possible. Maybe not for
Sweet.
I don't know when this video is being released, but probably around the time the Western qualifiers are starting, we'll make some announcements about who's actually going to be here. We probably won't know until around then, so we're just going to try to sort out everything first with our production studio, then work on the talent. But we've already got two people lined up to come.
Cool. The Good Studio is going to have a pub stomp on the final day of casting. Will you guys be doing something similar, or maybe organizing something like a special prize for like one or two people?
We want to, yes, but
Mm.
for us, this qualifier is going to be a huge jump up as far as workload. The GD Studio have their studio already done. They've done, obviously, they're going to be doing new stuff as far as production goes. But for us, we're going from having nothing to having this big studio thing. So we're kind of trying to juggle things out and figure out if we can actually have a pub stomp. We've also, I mean, mentioned the idea of having a live audience like the GD Studio have. Even if it's at a camera shop, we just want to have maybe some friends, some Dota fans who come into our studio and can watch the game live, even if they're not on camera. So that's something we're considering. As far as the pub stomp goes, it's not something we will probably organize ourselves, but we'll be looking to partner with people, whether it's in LA or maybe even more likely in countries in Southeast Asia or Australia, because that's actually a time zone where people can go to the pub. Or people can go out because the matches here are going to be played at like 4 in the morning. So hopefully we can find something where we can have the community become more involved with the actual TI3 East qualifier.
Cool. Okay, so moving on to the actual East qualifier itself, like the details and stuff. Do you think there's actually room for improvement in the format? The format is great now, but do you think there could be room for more slots? I mean, 8 teams. We end up seeing teams like, for example, Nitolek SG. I don't know if anyone has been watching, but they came third for in the Nitolek Pro League and second in the Flash Dota 2 League this weekend. And in those tournaments, they beat. I mean, they came in front of Orange. They came in front of First Departure. They came in front of Neolution International. So one directly invited team, and then two teams in the qualifiers. So do you think somehow maybe if we had more slots, it might be better?
More slot, it kind of makes the tournament more open for everyone to get a chance. But I think the idea with the international is that it's not that every team out there gets a chance. It's the teams who, at the time, deserve it, and at the time are looking like really strong, stable teams. They're the ones who get the slots. So it's always going to be a case whether we have 8 slots in the qualifier or 16. There's always going to be a few teams who say, "Hey, we missed out. Why did we miss out?" If we had 16 teams, it would still be the same thing. Whoever was 17th or 18th and didn't get chosen, they'd be saying, this is unfair. Like there should be more teams, or we should have been picked over this team. We actually beat this team 2 weeks ago. So I think
Yeah.
however many you invite, there's always going to be issues. Natolic SG, I mean, they've been playing really well. I mean, it goes without saying they were very close to getting into the qualifier. But end of the day, I mean, they're a very new team. At the time the selection was done, they'd only actually played in 2 tournaments, and their stability was actually questioned. They changed their roster actually only 3 or 4 days ago, I want to say. They were playing with Ken, the former Aeon player, but then he got replaced by someone else. So there was a lot of issues as to why maybe Valve didn't select them. I don't know the final reason. It was Valve's decision, but I think whatever happens with the invites, every year there's going to be some drama, some people questioning things. But I think overall, end of the day, these are teams who would maybe finish towards the bottom of the qualifier anyways. Maybe you can make a case that they'd have a chance, like with KP in the West or Natolic in the East, maybe causing an upset. But I think end of the day, there's teams more deserving.
What do you think about maybe in the future having the possibility of it being a LAN tournament instead of online? Because especially in the case for the East qualifiers, compared to the West, we don't like a lot of countries don't have stable connections, and it's a bit much to expect them to go boot camp somewhere else because not all of the teams have sponsors or the funds to do so. So, I mean, is that some kind of suggestion you might be putting forward for next
I think
year?
it'd be really cool, actually. I think that's something which I guess I wouldn't, I probably hasn't really crossed my mind until right now you mention it. But I think aiming to do something like that next year would be awesome for a couple of reasons. One thing, it's fair for all teams. For one thing, they're playing on a LAN environment, which is very different to playing online, which is what the international is, a LAN tournament. Another thing, it prevents all cases where teams are maybe going to have internet problems, power issues. It takes away all potential DDoS issues that could happen to teams. It also prevents teams from cheating because reality is this is a chance to go play at TI3. If a team who maybe wouldn't have a very good shot wanted to, there are ways you could cheat the system. For example, have a team who's invited play on your accounts and win you the qualifier. And because it's an online tournament, we can't do anything to stop that. Obviously, the teams. I mean, I imagine word would get out because it's 10 players who are in the know, but it's one of those things where making you sort of limit any potential cheating or abuse issues that could go on by having a LAN tournament. And also, it's greater for the spectators, the viewers, because you can have a live audience, you can have casters flowing in, teams all flowing into the same environment. It just brings the Dota community closer together. So I think it's actually I mean, I highlight that issue about cheating, but I think the bigger reason to a LAN tournament is just because of how it's an awesome thing for the Dota community. Having a LAN tournament, bringing the whole community together on LAN is ultimately a fantastic thing for Dota 2.
Cool. Hopefully Valve will do that next year. Well, we'll just have to see. Which four teams and eventually two teams do you think would emerge the victors from the East qualifier?
I think the three strongest teams for me, without a doubt, is going to be at the moment Vici Gaming, Tongfu, and Rattlesnake. They've all played really well lately. Vici Gaming only barely lost to MUFC in the best of five grand finals. They were down one game because it was a loser bracket advantage, but they went two games each. Rattlesnake played amazing in the G1 League. They beat Orange 2-0, and they also did very well against the other Chinese teams, LGD China and LGD International. I think they lost 2-1 to both those teams. And then Tongfu, they haven't been playing well, but they just added a really strong player in King J. They've got a completely their roster is one of the most star-studded rosters in China. So I think it's a pretty good assumption they'll do well. So I think those three teams, as far as the top four goes, I would add either I'd say Myth Trust will be quite likely up there. I haven't seen Rising Stars play. Everyone tells me. Zhao even from LGD said that Rising Stars qualifier. I haven't seen them play since a couple months ago when they weren't that strong, so I can't really judge there. But I would give fourth place maybe to Myth Trust. I would even say Moneska in there with the shot. I mean, a lot of people saying, "Oh, Moneska are going to finish eighth place," but I think Moneska are going to cause some upsets there. As far as top two goes, I think China. It's going to be I would say Rattlesnake and Tongfu. I think Vici Gaming may miss out.
Yeah. I think with Mineski and Myth Trust, it might be an issue of the situation they're facing in terms of their connection and such. Because they do so well at LAN tournaments, and then sometimes during online ones, not so great. Let's compare East and West a little bit. Which four teams and then two teams do you think would emerge top from the West?
I think West is a lot harder to predict because of all the new rosters there. I would. I remember telling someone I think DD Dota will do well just because of how great a captain Goblak is, and then the three French guys are all very talented individually. I think Rock's Kiss have a good chance. I think Mouse Sports will be in the top four, and then probably EG. Those would be my top four. As far as top two goes, I
Hard.
wouldn't have a clue. I think it could be any of those four teams. It really is just too close to call.
Okay. And okay, let's like ignore boot camping and extra preparation. If you were to pit these four against the top four from the East, do you think it would be really clear who would emerge at the top from that eight?
I think that Rattlesnake, Vici Gaming, and Tongfu are all just. I mean, they play in team houses. They have a really good team mentality. I think they would be the strong. I think they would be able to be stronger than the three Western teams coming out on top. I think if any of these teams were in the Western scene, they would be considered a top three, four team. They would have been even considered for a direct invite, but because
Wow.
they play in the Asian scene, they don't seem as strong. But if Rattlesnake, Vici Gaming were living in Europe in a team house, they would be maybe not as good as Alliance, but they'd at least be up there as like the second or third best team getting invited to the international. At least that's what I would expect.
Something for the Western gaming teams to consider importing a Chinese team to Europe.
There's good
Coming
money
from
in it.
gods. True.
If I was EG, I would get a Chinese. It's like how all the Western teams get Korean players. Like they're like, dude, we need a Korean for our StarCraft two teams. Like that's what I mean. They get the Koreans for their StarCraft two teams. They win them, even when they're not winning tournaments. They're still doing better than most of the Western players. I feel like if like you don't even have to get like an IG. All you have to do is get someone like a Rattlesnake or a Vici Gaming. Bring him to the US, bring him to Europe, and then bang, you have a team who's top three.
Wow. Okay. So considering the difference, well, the apparent difference you feel that there is between the East and West teams, what do you think would be the best way for both sides to train, like the winners from both qualifiers to train? Because, for example, I think Empire, I heard they're in Singapore. I think they are there. I mean, is that the best way to train? So should the West teams hop on over to Singapore slash China and just train after they win the qualifier?
Empire's going to be coming to Singapore after the qualifier. I think the big
Oh,
issue
after.
is,
Okay.
yeah, the big problem is Western teams coming over to Asia or China, they only do it for somewhere between 2 weeks and 2 months. End of the day, that may help them for a short term, but it's not going to help them long term. I think you need to have. I don't think they actually need to be like rather than use that money to come over and compete with the Asian teams, they should be looking to build a more stable work environment for their players, which is a team house, just stable living conditions, give them all the support they need. Because right now, teams and players aren't getting basically support staff. They don't have. Well, I mean, even if they have a team house is one thing, but then having a support staff, so you don't have to worry about cooking meals. So you maybe have a coach, so you maybe have someone to give you like like Korean StarCraft two teams have fitness trainers, all this stuff. Same thing with the Chinese teams; they all have like three, four, five different support staff in their team houses, which are just as important as the team manager itself. So a lot goes into sort of giving these guys the right mentality so that all they have to do is focus on Dota. Because right now, all the Western teams, their mind is all over the place. They have to worry about their job, their studies, their girlfriend, all these other things. I mean, okay, Chinese, there's all this drama in China about players and their girlfriends, but it's
Oh,
a
I
lot
didn't
more
know.
focused on Dota 2. So I
Okay.
think it just comes down to the mentality and the work environment of players, which is something that can be changed. It's just there's very few players who are willing to drop their studies, drop their real life for Dota. I mean, LGD International, one of the few exceptions.
Do you have any other nuggets of wisdom or input you'd like to say about the East or West qualifier?
Well, everything I say, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, I'm not right on everything. For all we know, maybe the Western teams. I'm really looking forward to G1 League, which is where Alliance and Liquid are going to come play against the Chinese teams, and then we can actually see where they stand against each other. I hope Alliance do well. I think the way Alliance are playing, they'll do really well. But as said, everything I say, I mean, for all I know, I could be and often am completely wrong. That's why I'm just here to look good looking.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take up too much of your time, otherwise you'll start blaming me for when you get too tired. Guys, you can follow GoDz on his Twitter account where he's got a bazillion followers already, um, and on his Facebook where let's tip like over this 29,000. Just need 80 more for 30,000. Did you know that?
I did not. Wow, that's
Yeah, you're
exciting.
reaching 30,000 on your Facebook. And guys, Beyond the Summit Twitter, Beyond the Summit Facebook, and this is their channel where we'll be seeing the action. I guess you're making, well, we can watch it in game too.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
The stream should be embedded in the Dota 2 client, so that'll be awesome. And of course, yeah, twitch.tv so that's Beyond the Summits where all the matches will be also.
Sweet. Okay, so would you like to shout out to anyone?
Shout out as always to my family who support me so much. My three awesome sisters, my mum and dad. Happy belated wedding anniversary to my parents since I didn't call them. I didn't call my mum on her birthday. I didn't call my parents on their wedding anniversary. I don't think you
Uh-oh.
have to call for wedding anniversaries, but I after missing her birthday, I felt like I should. It's Mother's Day in a week, so I won't forget that. So, apart from that, big thanks to everyone who watches our stream and is a fan of Beyond the Summit.
Great. Thank you so much, Gods, and thank you to Beyond the Summit. Big thanks to Beyond the Summit for all of these awesome overlays and helping me with this interview series. Till next time.